Well, good evening, everybody. Alan Zlotorzynski with the BREVARD Sports Network. And if you remember last summer, we launched a summertime sports talk show. Myself, Hunter Steele, we would come on, we would talk sports, we had guests, we previewed upcoming fall sports. Well, we're back. And if you remember, if you go all the way back to the first show Hunter and I did last year, we had a very special guest on with us, and I thought it was only appropriate that this year I kick off this year's summer BSN Sports Talk with that very same guest. If there were Emmys to be given out here in Brevard County for sports talk show hosts, this guy would have not one, but 7 of them. That's right. He'd have 3 more championships than would Steph Curry, and we'll talk about that tonight. And so it is my honor to welcome into BSN Sports Talk my friend, Mr. Mark Moses. How'd you like that introduction, my friend?
Hey, checks in the mail, Alan. That was fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No doubt about it. Mark, first of all, thanks for coming on here tonight. And I tell you what, man, I am excited. They say this time of the year is a dull time in sports. It's not. There is a lot going on in the world of sports, especially here locally. From a collegiate level, the College World Series is still going on. By the way, Stanford eliminated for that. First time in 18. That's the first. They've been there 18 times. First time they've never won a game in Omaha. You've been there. We'll talk about that. And then, of course, we got the Stanley Cup Finals, which seems to have piqued more interest here locally. The NBA Finals, which just wrapped up. My apologies to TJ McMahon. And by the way, TJ, if you're watching, buddy, get better, man. Get better, please. Mark, for you, I got to ask this question. This time of the year, how do you decide what you're going to talk about for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week?
That's a loaded question, buddy. And it's not an easy one. It's not. Look, there's 2 seasons in the state of Florida, and I think you know this better than anyone. There's football season, and then there's non-football season. I think that's what it is. And, once we get to like late July into August, and then all the way to February, my life is very easy. Your life is very easy because it's high school, it's college, it's NFL. Heck, you guys even do a great job covering Pee Wee football, right?
Right.
There's fantasy football. There's sports betting. Football. And it's just like, all right, Monday we're going to recap this. Tuesday, I have it all planned out. I don't even have to do research because I'm watching football games nonstop. This is the time of year where you got to turn chicken bleep into chicken salad. This is where it gets interesting and hard. So, here's what's interesting. It's like we just wrapped up the NBA Finals, like you said. Warriors win again. Locally, the Orlando Magic have been so bad over the last decade or so, but maybe finally the NBA threw them just a bone. Here's something. Right. We get the first pick in the NBA draft. And I talk to people all the time. I know fanfare is down for the Magic, and I get why. They're bad. But when I talk to people who grew up in this area, even in Brevard County, when they had Shaq and they had Penny and they were winning basketball games, the Magic were a big deal in this area, like a big, big deal.
Yep.
And especially when you had Dwight Howard and you started getting good and you made the NBA Finals, the Magic were a big deal. So it just shows you if they could just get a competitive product, this could be Magic country again. But I will say this one more time. Football is king in this state. It is king, right? All this right now is just getting ready for football.
High school football's king in this part of the state, right here, Brevard County, Volusia, north-south. You get above that and you get into college a little bit more, and then the NFL. And I'm glad you said that because real quick, let me just touch on a couple local things here. There's not a lot going on locally, but I did want to give a special shout-out to the Cocoa Girls track team, Mark. They go to Philadelphia over the weekend at Old Franklin Field. They are the Class 2A state champs. They go up to Franklin Field in Philadelphia this weekend, and they finished 3rd in the country, Mark, with the 4x100 relay. It was a special weekend for them. They ended up beating the 3A state champ. And Thursday night, I'm going to meet up with the ladies and Coach Folston and talk to them about that. I also want to give a big congratulations to Merritt Island Little League 8, 9, 10 All-Stars, won the District 22 championship, the All-Star baseball team, and the girls. We're not leaving the girls out. The 10, 11, 12
Nice.
softball team, both of those teams advanced to sectionals. And then in other big local sports news here today, Diego Perez was named the new head volleyball coach at Astronaut High School. Diego replaces Coach Phil Horvath, a great coach, and I'm excited for Diego. That's a great place, one of the more underrated programs in the county over the last couple of years. They've got some good returners this year. So Astronaut volleyball in very good hands moving forward. So that's really it from a local standpoint. We've kind of kept you up to date on all of the local coaching hirings, Brian Helton at Satellite, all of that stuff going on. So you can catch everything locally right there on BREVARD Sports Network. And if you missed anything, you can go back and check it out. Today we did our off-season preview with the Bayside Bears last week. We did the Heritage Panthers. Tomorrow it'll be Jake Owens' Palm Bay Pirates. But, okay, so that's the local aspect of it, Mark. You talked about the Orlando Magic. Let's just jump right in to the Orlando Magic. Coming up Thursday night, Mark, the Orlando Magic, I believe, are going to be making somewhere like their 67th pick in NBA draft history. You look at some of the number one draft picks, Mark, that number one overall draft picks that this franchise has had. If there's one thing, Mark, one thing that the Orlando Magic have gotten right in their history, it is undoubtedly the number one overall pick. I don't think they've ever botched it, even from the time that they took Chris Webber and traded him. I thought they made out like a bandit with the Hardaway deal. So what are you looking for from the Orlando Magic? Before we talk about the players, what needs to be their philosophy going in to Thursday night, Mark?
Okay, it's very complicated. And this is one of those things where, compared to the NFL draft, where you have 7 rounds and you're going to get a pick next year and the next year, you don't get this opportunity to get a top 3 pick every single year because of the lottery. So you have to make sure you get it right. And what you were just saying, they've had this situation before in their, 35-year history, and they've gotten it right most of the time. You have top 3 players. They're going to be in this. There's no Shaq. There's no LeBron. So it's not like, oh, well, we already know. Like, if you had a LeBron-type character in this draft, they'd already be printing the jerseys. But we're going into Thursday night where they're at this hour. Sources have texted me, and I feel dumb saying that, but no, seriously. It's Jabari Smith Jr. or it's Chet Holmgren at Gonzaga. And you look at Paolo Banchero at number 3. He might be the third guy taken, and he's decided to kind of hold off on maybe even working out with the Magic at this hour. Now, that might change, but I think it's between those 2 players, and the key is going to be, Alan, they need someone who could be a basketball player, who can blossom into a star, and who can score the basketball. They need someone with the ball in their hands who can be, and this is very key, consistently scoring the basketball. You see this all the time. Look, even at the high school level, you probably have a kid. Hey, one night he drops 27. Then the next night he drops 5. You can't do that. If you are going to be a consistent star, your stats have got to be the same night in and night out. They've been missing that for a decade or so. They need someone who can become a great player and get other people around him to become better players on the court. That's what they need.
Mark, 69 different NBA players last season averaged 17 points a game. That's an average of 2 per team. 29 clubs had at least one. Can you tell me which team didn't make that cut?
Probably the Orlando Magic.
That's correct.
That's probably why you're saying that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I mean, Cole Anthony led the team, 16.3 points per game, 40%. But you look at the final 5 put on the floor by Jamal Mosley, in that game. And look, I mean, I think the Magic have pieces with which to build. Markel Fultz, and I think a lot of people forget, Markel Fultz is a former overall #1 pick. RJ Hampton, Chumo Kiki, Wagner, and Mo Bamba. What did you like about what the Orlando Magic did this year?
I think the shocker is the Franz Wagner pick because everyone liked Jalen Suggs with seriously the 5th pick last year. Remember the guy that took Gonzaga to the national title game?
Yeah.
That buzzer beater against UCLA to get to the title game. Everyone's like, this is going to be a great player. This is going to be awesome. We got to steal. Toronto's stupid for taking, Scotty Barnes from Florida State. And then you looked at what happened. And I talked to him after a couple games where he couldn't stay healthy on the court, Jalen Suggs. Only played 40 games. Right. And he's only 21 pretty much. So you had him, and then they had this throwaway pick that they got from the Bulls for the Vucevic trade. And it's this guy, Franz Wagner, German, big man. He was the steal of the draft. And he's the type of player where he can be your stretch for the next 10 years, maybe become an all-star, and he's very young out of Michigan. He's what, honestly, I won't lie to you, Alan. He's the guy that gives me confidence in this front office that maybe they can get this pick right. If they didn't take Franz Wagner last year, I don't even know if they're the front office right now. I'm not kidding around when I say that. That gave confidence to everyone that they can make this pick. Now, you look at this front office. They like athletic guys who are, genetic type freaks, who can be that next generation type player. And that's why everything would point towards the guy you see on the screen on the right, Chet Holmgren, who could be maybe the next Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? That's what you're thinking. But I just feel like Jabari Smith is the best basketball player who consistently can score, and he can play 3-4 positions. He can play defense. He's 19. He's got the shot now. That's why Thursday night's going to be fascinating to see.
Is he the most ready guy of these three to go in and make the most immediate impact for the Orlando Magic? 16, 9, 7 rebounds a game, 2 assists. Is he the guy that's ready to make the biggest impact?
You know what's crazy with that question? The guy that's probably the most ready to make an impact is the guy from Duke. If you saw March Madness, you saw Banchero probably save Duke game in and game out. He's that consistent type big man that where they're not sure if he's a 3, if he's a 4, can he be a stretch 5? He's the guy that might be the most consistent. But the thing is, and this is very key when you look at sports, are we fitting a need or are we trying to get a superstar? With that, because you can get a need at 10, 12, 15 in the draft. When you're picking in the top 2 or 3, you need a superstar. That's the difference.
Look, the Magic have been around for 33 seasons. This is going to be their 34th year coming up, and I think they've made the playoffs 16 times in their in their franchise is history. Obviously, since 2012 and 13, just 2 times. Prior to that, Mark, they had gone 6 straight times to the playoffs. They lost in the finals, of course, in 09. This is a great place to play, right? I mean, Miami has proven that there's no pay, there's no state tax. What is it with this franchise, this organization, Mark, that they can't get over the hump? What is stopping this team, this franchise? And I don't necessarily mean with this group of players, because, my biggest fear with the Orlando Magic, Mark, is they go ahead and pick one of these 3 guys, and in a couple of years, they just become the next wayward player the Magic drafted to trade to get out to rebuild yet again. Mosley, Clifford, Vogel, Skiles, Vaughn, Borrego, all coaches, Mark, since the 2015 season. What needs to change? Because from the outside looking in, not much has changed at the top, Mark.
No, look, you're bringing up great points, Alan. And Orlando struggles with the same thing that a lot of different markets struggle with. Like you can look at a Sacramento, or now you look at Oklahoma City, a Portland. Some of these cities, Charlotte, they're not sexy, right? You're here for a couple years. You've done everything. You've been to Disney World, right? You've been over here. You've seen the beach. After a couple years, after you travel on the road, you see a Miami, you see a New York, you see a Los Angeles. I want to go to a bigger market. I can make more money that way. I can become a bigger star. That's what happened to Shaq, and that's what happened to Dwight Howard, where they said, I want to go to a real market. There are different markets in the NBA. Orlando is a great market. It's a smaller market in the stand of, compared to some, New York, Miami, Chicago, LA. But there's other teams that have problems trying to get free agents and getting players to stay. It's not just Orlando. And the key is, and I've said this, and people get very angry at me when I say it, like really angry. The Magic have not had their greatest player yet. And the Magic homers are like, what are you talking about? We had T-Mac, we had Shaq. Yeah. None of those guys won in Orlando. The player that wins a championship for Central Florida will be the greatest player ever in the history of the franchise. That's how I look at it.
Do you think, RDV Sports Incorporated, of course, owns the Orlando Magic, Dan DeVos. I've read numerous books. I've read Shaquille's book. I've read the Lakers dynasty. It all ties back into, Mark, Orlando, because Shaq has said on numerous occasions that he regrets leaving Orlando. He regrets that decision that he made to leave Orlando, which I always found fascinating, to be honest with you. Is there an issue with the ownership with the Orlando Magic? I've heard whispers in books that there is. Is there?
Okay, don't forget, Shaq. I see now why he left. Like he was one of the biggest stars ever in the history of the NBA. Like I get it why he left. I understand. I think the one that really is the what if Dwight Howard would have stayed. Because remember, he thought he'd get bigger fame and fortune if he left the Magic, and he was never the same player. He was more popular staying on the Magic. That's what's so crazy about this. And the other thing is, like, you talk about ownership. The NBA created this rule a couple years ago called, it's nicknamed the Derrick Rose rule, where what they want to do is if you draft a player and he develops into a star, when he's up for free agency for that second contract, he could re-sign with your team and make more money. Like if you want to leave, you're going to sign for less money. If you stay with your team, you make more money. That's why free agency has changed now. That's why, look, you can knock the front office all you want, and I've heard it as well. I have. But if you can get this right and get real stars, they will play here. Look, it's a great place to live. You hit it on the head, Alan. Hey, no state income tax. There's no snow. They're almost, that's why they have got to make sure they get this pick right on Thursday.
Fascinating that you should bring up Dwight Howard, and I'll just, we'll end this. And then the final question I'm going to ask you about this, and then we're going to move on to the Stanley Cup, is, 8 seasons he spent here in Orlando, 18 points a game since leaving Orlando. 6 teams, and the most he's ever averaged is 16.6 a game. So you're absolutely right, Mark. That's a great bring up there with Dwight Howard. He was never the same player again. In fact, in many of those cities that he went to, he was nowhere near even a beloved player. He was despised on some of those teams.
You know what's weird with his game? He might be one of the last great true centers with the evolution of the game. Like if Dwight came out now, is Dwight shooting 3-pointers? What's he doing? Is he even posting people up? That's what's weird.
All right. We're here with Mark Moses. The information for Mark is on the bottom of the screen. The best sports talk show, in my opinion, in the entire state of Florida, every day from 3 to 6 p.m. on Sports Radio 1560, The Fan. Mark, let's talk about this guy and what he was able to do in the NBA Finals, because, first of all, it's kind of taken me by surprise, Mark. Well, you know what? Before I get to him, Who do the Magic take? Who would you like to see the Magic take?
This is like the Oscars. Who should win and who's going to win?
Well, let's
It's the
have
same
it.
thing. I've said this from the beginning. The minute they got the pick, I want Jabari Smith Jr. with the first pick in the draft. I need a consistent 20-point scorer who can develop into a star and someone who can play defense as well. And who's it's very key. Who's going to play in today's NBA? That's what I need. And when you look at the NBA and you brought up that photo of Steph Curry, and look, you can't duplicate Steph Curry. You can't just clone him. But you looked at the finals. It's a guard league. It's a shooting league. You've got to score the basket. And you look at some other prospects, and they're like, hey, this guy's going to be a good rim defender. He can rebound. He can, he'll work on his shot. No. You look at Jabari Smith. He could shoot the jumper now. In college, he shot over 40% from three-point range. Now, let him develop. I always say this. You look at the NBA, who dominates the NBA? You got to be about 25 to like about 33. Just the age range. And I know we have exceptions like LeBron. Like, I get it. Okay. Jason Tatum was 24. But I'm telling you, it's like 25 to 33 when you really get into your prime and you really figure it out. Now, when you're 19, you can't have a team, Alan, where everyone is 19 to 23 years old. It's not going to work. They can't even rent a rental car at the airport. They are young. You got to get a team of guys in their prime, because I always think about this. The older you get, you figure it out.
Right.
Troy Aikman has this saying, even though it doesn't apply to Tom Brady now. He goes, once you figure it out, your body fails you. When you're 22, you might have intelligence, but you don't have the knowledge. That's why when you saw Steph Curry out there, okay, he's 33, 34, but he knows all the tricks of the trade. He knows what to do out there. And I'll tell you the story about Steph, as I know you're putting this on the screen here. When I first met, the Golden State Warriors, it was a game in, the 2016 team that went 73-9, and they came to the Amway Center, and man, they laid the smackdown on the Magic. And I know a lot of teams did, but that was an all-time team. And I know they lost the title in Game 7 to LeBron, but it was funny. You're in the locker room, and you see Draymond Green, and this is a basketball player. He's 6'8", 250. He's a tank. You see Klay Thompson, he's 6'4", over 200 pounds. It's a basketball player. And then this guy shows up, and you're like, what is he, on the Mickey Mouse Club? Like, what is this exactly? The guy's 6'2", maybe 200 pounds, and he looks like he's 12 years old. But when you see him, like, Alan, when you see him on the court, and I've covered all levels of basketball. You've never seen the fear of God in 5 defenders like this, where he like a transition offense is always what I always explain with Steph Curry. So there's a transition offense play. Let's say they're 3-on-2, they're 4-on-2. The minute he passes half court, all defenders have to look at him and converge on him, because he can hit from 32 feet away, or he could dribble penetrate on you. See, spacing helped him out, where the rule changes. You can't hand check. You can't touch the offensive player. So it opened it up for him. He can hit from 32 feet out, 35 feet out. And then you're looking so much at Steph Curry, his wing teammates are wide open all the time. It's the scariest thing I've ever seen.
Your thing is that you got to win 4. You want to be a dynasty, 3, 4. I think you always say you want to be a dynasty. You got to win 3. You got to win 4. Well, this is 4. 32 and a half career points per game. Where do you put? To me, Steph Curry's never going to be as great as Magic Johnson. Sorry. We had this conversation before. I do think Steph Curry is, and say what you will, put your own comments on the bottom of the screen. I think he's the second greatest point guard in the history of the NBA behind Magic Johnson. Does Steph Curry belong in the top 10? Does he belong at the table with Jordan, with Bill Russell, with Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant? Does he belong at that table now, Mark? Look, I mean, I'm going to give you one stat. To me, what makes a true legendary great player is what do you do in the biggest games of your life? The clinching games, right? What do you do? Okay? We were talking about Andre Vasilevsky of the Lightning. 7-0 in clinching games. He is, we'll get to him in a minute, but Steph Curry, 32 and a half career points per game in title clinching games, second all time to only Michael Jordan. 4 NBA championships, um, two NBA MVPs, one scoring title. Where does he belong? You don't have to tell me where he ranks, but does he belong at that table?
Yes, he's top 10 all time now. And it's such a great story because you never saw it coming. You never thought that, like, this guy, like, you see Wilt Chamberlain, you're like, yeah, this guy's a dominating force. You see Jordan, you see Larry Bird, Magic, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Tim Duncan, LeBron. You look at them, you're like, these guys were put on this earth to dominate at this sport. You look at Steph Curry and you're like, really? This, like I just said when I met him in the locker room, this guy, really? But the thing with him is they became the Splash Brothers, him and Klay Thompson. And Klay Thompson needs to get credit as well. And Draymond Green is a great third banana on your team.
Yeah.
Every team, Alan, in basketball said, I want to shoot the three like Steph Curry. Every team wants to play like this. Every team. And guess what? If you guys on BREVARD Sports Network, you're covering high school basketball, you're playing the game, right?
Yeah.
If you watch, let's say Melbourne's playing Palm Bay, it's a Thursday night game, you're playing it. Every kid on that court says, I can shoot the three like Steph Curry. So when I was growing up, I was in junior high and high school and the Bulls were winning titles. That's my team. Every kid in my neighborhood, we all wanted to drive the basketball like Michael Jordan. We all wanted to dribble penetrate. That's what we grew up with. Magic Johnson, dribble penetrate. Isaiah Thomas, Michael Jordan. And then essentially, like when I was in high school, Allen Iverson took over. Dribble penetration. But the look at him, at Steph Curry, the evolution of the game, he's shooting from the outside. Every little kid wants to shoot from the outside. That's why he's a top 10 player. He changed the basketball. One guy did that, Steph Curry.
No doubt. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to step out for about 30 seconds here. And I'll leave you with this, and when we come back, it's Stanley Cup. Only 6 players, Mark Moses, in NBA history have 4 rings, multiple league MVPs, and a finals MVP. In honor of your big trivia show Friday, which I couldn't make, and congratulations to the champ, Jerry Jones.
Right.
6 players in NBA history have 4 rings, multiple league MVPs, and a final MVP. How many can you name?
Okay. All right. It's been a long day.
Okay.
Okay, so do the stats one more time. Let me hear it.
4 rings, at least 2 MVPs, and a finals MVP. Only 6 players in the league have ever done it. Who are they?
All right, so Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan's 1.
Magic Johnson
is 2.
Larry Bird?
No. 3 championships.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so 4. So then Steph Curry has
3.
to be there.
Yep. Think about your trivia. One of the answers to your trivia.
So LeBron James.
Correct. That's 4. Come on, you're close. I'll give you 1. Kareem's 1. The last one, he won 5 NBA titles.
So Tim Duncan.
There you go. That's right. So, yes, Steph Curry belongs in the top 10. Only James, Jordan, Johnson, Abdul-Jabbar, Duncan, and now Curry. 4 rings.
Alan, you're bigger than Steph Curry. Just think about that.
Well, I got news for you, buddy. I'm starting to get bigger than a whole lot of people I know, and it ain't in the right direction. So, all right, we're going to step aside. We'll be right back here on BREVARD Sports Network.
I'm Marcus May, and you're watching BREVARD Sports Network.
All right, welcome back here to BREVARD Sports Network. Alan Zlotorzynski and the great Mark Moses with you. And Mark, Hockey Fever, man, has as I put some posts up on my own personal Facebook page, I have found that more and more people are starting to comment about hockey here locally. And I can only think, Mark, that that's because of what the Tampa Bay Lightning have done over the last 3 years. Really, if you're a hockey fan, then you know what they've done over the last 10 years. You know, they've been to 6 Eastern Conference Finals. This is their third straight trip to the Stanley Cup. This is their fourth Stanley Cup appearance, and since 2015, they're only losing to your Chicago Blackhawks. They got thumped 7-0 Saturday night, and then managed to. I mean, it was like a tail mark of two teams in last night with what we saw and what the Lightning were able to do last night and coming back to beat the speedy Colorado Avalanche. Now, look, I know that your favorite sport is basketball, but are you watching this series?
Yeah, I am. And I was with you over the weekend when they lost 7-0.
Yeah.
And I told you at the time, it was like, you know, that game won by Colorado where they were up 3-1, and then the Lightning came back 2 straight goals. They go to overtime, and I was like, man, Colorado has to win this game, and they did. They won in overtime 4-3, and then they came out and they just destroyed Tampa. And I am just shocked by game 3. You just resiliency. Remember, because in the Eastern Conference Finals, they were down 2-0 to the Rangers, then won 4 straight. That game last night, man, oh man, where you score 6 goals after getting blank 7-0. It was incredible, the turnaround by Tampa Bay.
Yeah, no doubt. And there you see some of, I mean, all kinds of. I mean, I'm not going to get into the numbers because I know everybody are becoming hockey fans. I know that we're not to the point yet to where very many people care about the fact that last night Colorado came in with a 7-game road winning streak. Tampa Bay came in with a 7-game home winning streak. So something had to give, and that something last night was indeed the road winning streak by the Avalanche. Look, I said on your show today, and I'll say it here right now, if Tampa Bay can win this game tomorrow, and I like exactly how you put it, I think they can win the series because then I think they get into the heads of Colorado a little bit. Because Colorado, in parts of that game last night, did outplay the Avalanche. I just think the thing that the Avalanche did was they took more shots in game 3, Mark, game 2 when they get beat 7-0. They got 16 shots on goal. Not one shot comes from the slot area. Last night, heading into the third period, the Lightning had, 8, 9, 10 shots on goal from the slot and 4 goals alone in the second period. So I really like the Bolts' chances, and I am just a tremendous Andre Vasilevsky fan. I still thought he was a little shaky last night. He's got to get that situation fixed with getting beat over the blocker pad. I don't like his butterfly style where he leans to one side. I don't think that anybody in the world is fast enough to recover to a 105-mile-an-hour slap shot or wrist shot over that blocker pad. So I don't know how he's going to figure that out, but he better. My estimation, I like what you said on your show today. If Tampa can win that game, I think they can go on to win this series.
Okay, here's what's interesting, and you brought this up in your like Stanley Cup final preview last week. So the Lightning are a 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion, and they have their goalie, right? This is our guy, and he's going to go to the Hall of Fame one day. This is our guy. We know, even if he had the horrible game, this is our guy. And everyone who's watching this right now, you can relate to that. This is my teammate. I've gone through hell with this guy. We're sticking with him. You brought this up in the preview. I'm watching ESPN today, and they're doing this like preview for Game 4. And Colorado, they're debating who's going to be the netminder for the Avalanche. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We're going into Game 4 of the finals. You don't know who the goalie is?
I know.
What are you talking? The minute you're doing that, there's blood in the water. If you're the Lightning, break both their spirits and go get this Game 4.
I think that's a great point. Pavel Francouz or Darcy Kemper. Who will it be? I think it'll be Francouz tomorrow night. We'll see. So, all right. So, some other stuff I want to talk to you about today. Some breaking sports news, if you will, on the day here, Mark, to go over with you today. Rob Gronkowski announced his retirement for a second time. 4-time Super Bowl champ and a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame All 2000s team is the way that's phrased. 92 receiving touchdowns are the most by any player since he debuted in the league in 2010, and the third most by a tight end in NFL history. 2 questions for you on Rob Gronkowski. He's 33. Is he done? And what's his legacy?
No, I don't want to hear this from the Buccaneers. I'm sick of their stupid retirement ceremonies. Dude, we've done this. Remember, we're still in 2022. So remember,
Right.
January was the stupid debacle of Tom Brady retirement, unretirement. Took him 40 days. Now he's unretired. He's back. Then we had to cover, you look at Bruce Arians. He retired. Now who's the coach? Todd Bowles. I'm not sure. Right. So then there's all these retirements going on. And remember, Gronk retired 2 years ago, and then he unretired. So he retires. I know I'm saying it so many times, like Beetlejuice is going to show up here. But like, then he said later that day, if Tom calls me, I'll make a move. Here's what he's doing. I don't want to work out this summer. I don't want to do OTAs. I don't want to do mandatory mini camp. I don't want to do anything. Call me up in late September. I'll be ready. He's going to play this year. This is ridiculous. I'm sick. I don't know what angers me more. And I said this today on my show. I don't know if I'm more angry with athletes constantly giving their thoughts and feelings and emotions on Instagram with fake retirements, or high school athletes constantly telling me they're blessed on Twitter because the community college, gave them an offer. At it, Alan.
I tell you what, it's funny because you and Dr. Andrew Ramjic both are frustrated with that aspect of it. I hear you, buddy. I know it. I do think he's done. I don't think, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't think there was any reason for this at this moment. I think he's 33 now. He's beat up. His body's beat up, Mark. He's taken a hell of a thumping throughout his career. I do think he's done. I just think that he's at a point right now. He came back. He may have even been willing, to play without Tom Brady. It's weird, but he came back. He played. He got banged up again. I think the guy is done. I really do. Because I just don't see any reason why he would say now's the time for me to walk away. I just think this is the first time, no. This time, yeah, I think Gronk is done. And certainly if anybody knows how to celebrate a retirement, oh boy, it's Rob Gronkowski.
I'm just saying, and you might be right. Just leave that 1% open. You never know, right?
Yeah.
I don't look. I've given up trying to think Brady will retire. I think he's going to go till he's like 50 now. I think that's what he's going to try.
Well, Brady got an opportunity to spend some time at home with the kids, and we all love our kids. But he was like, "No, it's not me.
No,
I'm going back to playing football." And you notice, right, that it didn't take him long to ink the deal for his next career following playing football. So he already knows, because you and I both know that when you're on these broadcast crews, you have to be in that city by Wednesday night for the production meeting with the teams on Thursday. You got to go to the walkthrough on Friday, Saturday a final production meeting, and then the broadcast, right? Tom Brady, he's already got his life buttoned up.
He's ready to go. But I'm sorry to say this on your show. I'm not buying his $95 T-shirt on Brady's website.
I'm not either. I'm not buying the $95 T-shirts either. Mark, I can't thank you enough for coming on. And before I let you go, I want to ask you, I want to talk to you a little bit. First of all, congratulations on the big trivia show. I want to ask you about golf real quick. I know you don't talk a lot of golf on your show. Matt Fitzpatrick won the U.S. Open over the weekend. Congratulations to him. The guy actually wins the U.S. Open Country Club 9 years after winning the U.S. Amateur at the same spot. It was really a cool story. Do you or do you not care about a bunch of millionaires arguing over whether they're going to play on a tour in Saudi Arabia or the PGA Tour here? Because Brooks Koepka today, who decried the Live Tour, has now signed to go play on it tonight. Do you care one way or the other about any of this?
I'm fascinated by the passionate answers from sports fans when I talk to them about this subject, where a lot, and people are very split on this answer.
Yeah.
Some people, I'm kind of in the mode where it's like, hey, you're going to give me $100 million to be in these 7 tournaments? Well, all right, let's do it. Because remember, in golf, it's not a guaranteed contract. You have to go out and compete to try to win money. So I don't blame. So you mean there's a tournament or a whole league where you're going to give me $100 million, and then I can make prize money on top of that. Yeah, sign me up. Let's do it. But I've had people tell me off air, they're so angry at these guys. So like, how dare you? How dare you turn your back on the PGA? It's fascinating. It reminds me of like 90s wrestling. And I know Caleb behind the camera will love this. It's like 90s wrestling where it reminds me of, like Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair and Macho Man jumped ship from Vince McMahon, and they went to Ted Turner and WCW for the money. And now we're going to have this riff. And maybe in golf, it'll be like the Monday Night Wars, where now everyone's going to be like, that's what I like about this. That's interesting.
It is. And I do find it fascinating as well. Koepka leaves. He's 32 years old, Mark. He's one of the highest profile players to join this Live Tour. This is according to ESPN. Of course, this is all funded by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund and fronted by 2-time Open winner Greg Norman. So when they say Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, what it means is much like their oil wells over there, when they turn the lever, Mark, nothing but dollar bills come out of it over there. So Live and look, Koepka, look, he looks like a fool. I mean, he publicly decried this tour, Mark, and now he signs to play on it. So he's being blistered by many. And I think there's a part of me that says, you know what, Brooks, you deserve it. But he's going to have the last laugh because he's going to be guaranteed $150 to $200 million to go do this.
Look, it reminds me of like college football, where you're getting guys like Dabo Swinney and Nick Saban crying over name, image, and likeness. What? Wait, so we should just live in a world where you make $10 million a year and the players get nothing? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, no doubt.
Look, that's a grown man decision. Alan, if they came to you and said, hey, we're going to give you $5 million to broadcast these games, that's your decision, Alan, to make. And I hope they do give that to you. So brush up on your golf.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Mark. And before I let you go, Bud, tell us about the big trivia contest. Jerry Durney with the hell of a win, man. 7 for 7 in the championship round. Just a great job by you and your staff, Mark, to put that together there at Club 52. And I know OB and does a great job there. So how'd that end up?
It was a great event. I know you guys were broadcasting some volleyball tournaments at the convention center in Orlando. It's okay. You'll have to come for the next one. And this is what you learn about people is everyone talks a big game, but the minute you get behind that camera or that microphone and I start firing those questions at you, it's a whole other animal. Just like when you watch on TV with Jeopardy, it's the same thing. And that's what makes it just like amazing live radio. Seeing people compete, and I'd love to see you compete, Alan. I really would.
I want a piece of Durney. As much respect as I have for him, don't get me wrong, I'd love to go head-to-head with him. I told you today on your show, nobody in this county prepares more for a broadcast than does Jerry Durney. When Jerry Durney shows up to do a broadcast, you're getting a quality broadcast every single time. So I can only imagine how he had some people in the crowd dropping their jaws, going 7 for 7. That's incredible, Mark. I mean,
Okay,
I know those
here's what's
questions weren't
interesting.
easy.
Okay, here's what's interesting. It's kind of like golf where it's like you're taking on that guy against you, right? So he did not do well in round 1. Then he got stronger in round 2, and then he went walk-off style in championship round. And it was funny today. I was telling my other coworker, about how it went, and I was like, "Yeah, I could take him on." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" Yeah, I don't think you understand. I'd like to compete as well. I know I can't, but I'd love to take you on, Alan. I
I would
would.
love
I'd
it.
love
I would absolutely love it. And I think, here's what I think. I think me, you, and Durney, whether the public sees it or not, should go head to head one night, someplace. Let's do it. And I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you. What was the toughest question for our viewing audience tonight? What was the toughest question nobody got?
Okay, that's tough. Well, what's funny is I thought the toughest question, and Jerry got it right. And look, if you want to compete, contact me. We'll do it again. Don't worry. That one that I thought was tough is what is the World Series trophy called? Because in the NFL, the Lombardi
The
Trophy,
Lombardi, right?
basketball, Larry O'Brien.
The first inclination is to say the Bowie K. Coon Trophy, but it's not. It's the Commissioner's Trophy, right?
It's the Commissioner's Trophy, and he got that right. That is super hard.
Yeah.
Like,
I tell you another one you asked me today on your show that I thought was pretty good, and that was who were the 2 starting quarterbacks in the college football championship game last year? And I just thought that was a great question. I mean, a lot of people will get Bryce Young, but they won't get Stetson Bennett, or they'll get Stetson Bennett and they won't get Bryce Young. And then the other question you asked me today in rapid fire on your show and got me on was, who lost the Super Bowl this year? And I said the Chiefs. I got it wrong.
You got it wrong. Hey, if I would ask you a year ago, even now, who are the 2 starting quarterbacks of this past Super Bowl? You think of, don't answer. It's like, look, Brady, Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. No, it was Joe Burrow and Matthew Stafford started the Super Bowl.
And another great one was, who was in the Final Four?
All blue bloods.
All blue bloods. UNC, Duke, Villanova, and Kansas. So, it was great. Mark, man, I tell you, you do a fantastic job. And I say it every year. Thanks for kicking this off with me this year. Thanks for all you've done for me in my career here locally. And just a great show, man. Just keep up the great work.
Alan, thank you for having me on. And you stay out of trouble, all right, you wild man. This is very
key. I'll try,
key.
buddy. I'll try. That is Mark Moses from Sports Radio 1560, The Fan, as we get set to wrap up here. I want to thank all of my sponsors. Before I do that, though, I do want to quickly just recap, some local sports here again. Just the big thing, Diego Perez named the new head volleyball coach at Astronaut High School. Congratulations to Diego Perez on that one. I also want to say congratulations to the Cocoa Girls track team. What an outstanding job they did
the
over
Bullis
the
school wins so many of these relays at big meets across the country. So
they've got ran on the track where the Penn relays were at Franklin Field in the New Balance National Outdoor Championships. Just a tremendous effort by these young ladies. Leanna Tyson, of course, starting it off, and then the Parhams, Angel and Trinity, and then Shanteria Thomas with the anchor. Just an amazing job that they did. And, of course, they are also the reigning 2A state champs, and they ran against the 4A state champs and the 3A state champs, and I believe they beat the 4A state champs. The event was won by a private school out of Maryland, the Bullis School. Congratulations, ladies, first to the Merritt Island 10, 11, 12 softball team as they win the District 22 championship last night. And congratulations to the Merritt Island 8, 9, 10 All-Stars who do the very same thing in winning the District 22 championship. For all of your up-to-date sports information, please keep it right here on BREVARD Sports Network. We got a lot coming up in the month of July. We got a Fall Sports Media Day. Our coaches' shows are coming up. And these shows moving forward. Joining me Thursday night will be Jackson Robb making his debut on the show. But I like to kick this off each and every year with Mark Moses. He has me on his show every Tuesday, has done so for the last 6 years, and it's always a blast just to talk sports with Mark. And we'll talk all sports here. So once again, I want to thank Mark Moses and thank all of my sponsors, Beachway Volleyball Club, BREVARD. I want to thank Dingers, Connect Sports Consulting, Best Private Investigators. And if you're interested, right there is the information. And I want to say, too, I'm looking forward to this. I'll give you a movie review next week when I go see Elvis, the new movie, coming up this weekend with Tom Hanks in it. I couldn't be more thrilled that there's finally a movie out about Elvis's entire life. So once again, thanks to Mark Moses. I want to thank Caleb Brown for producing. So once again, everybody, have a great night. And as always, make it a sports night.